Hi guys, today I'm going to show you how you can make this adorable miniature armchair. It's so cute and it's very easy to make. I suggest you stop the video at this time and make this pattern, and notice the red arrow there which shows that this is only half of the pattern. Now what you can do is just fold this out and begin to fold the parts of the chair itself. The reason I recommend doing this is because this will give you an idea of the total size at the end, and you want to make sure that's the kind of chair size that you're making. And of course you just make the pattern bigger or smaller according to your needs. Once you've done this, you'll need to put that pattern onto some cardboard. You can use an old cornflake box or anything like that. And then we're going to score those areas where you bend it. It's always important to score first. Makes it so much easier to do the bending. You'll see here that this overlaps a little bit, and you can just cut that out now to make sure that it's the correct fit. Then we're going to put some padding on this. This is actually a blanket I bought from IKEA. It's a really cheap way to buy padding. Once we've done that, and again just checking the size that everything's okay, then we're going to be looking at putting on the fabric. When you use fabric on a miniature, make sure the fabric design is also small. Otherwise, if you use a large pattern, it's going to look very strange. So we'll just cut a little bit over bigger than the cardboard, and then we'll cut that out. Just a little bit of paste, not too much because you don't want it to show through. And make sure you put the fabric down on the right side so that you're pasting on the other side. And then we're just going to cut around that to make it easier to fold over. We'll add some glue to that afterwards. And then we'll just simply fold it down. And this is what it will look like. And here you see there are no seams where there normally would be. If you see other people who make these, they make them in 4 different parts. This is why I call this the simplest one that you'll ever get. We're now going to cut out the back, and we're just going to roughly look at the size of that. We'll cut out this piece of paper, and then we'll actually go ahead and put this piece of paper into the chair, and just to see how it fits. And you see here it's actually a little bit too big, so I'm going to just take that and trim it off a little bit. Doesn't need an awful lot, but just enough so that it's not curled up like that. And I always recommend testing everything. We test again, and that actually looks a lot better. I'm happy with that. We'll take that piece and again put it onto some cardboard, and again I'm just making sure that it fits again because now we've added some texture to it. And again we'll put on some padding and a piece of fabric. Just showing you here the blanket that I bought. And so once we've got that, we'll put on the fabric. Again, it's the same procedure. We just simply cut that around and we'll fold it over, and that comes out very nice, very flat and straight. And we'll put that on there. That's looking good. I'm checking one last time because now it has fabric on it as well, and that still fits really nicely. So we'll glue that onto the back there. Make sure that's nice and firm, and make sure it's well fitted on all the seams because we're going to be putting some things over that later on. So we need to make sure that that's all really done well. Yep, I think that's looking pretty good. I'm going to put a little bit of sellotape on the front there because I want that to sit together for a minute, because now we're actually going to cut out the bottom of the chair. So make sure you go around the outside of the chair, not the inside. We will do the inside in a minute, but right now we just need to do the outside. And I'm checking that that fits, and that looks good to me. Again, the same procedure, no padding here because this is just for the bottom, but we will do that. You see that's actually there on the right finished. And now I am doing the inside, and that's because this is going to be for the chair that will go on the inside. And again, Just making sure that that looks good. And we'll put that on some padding. This time I'm going to use 3 pieces to make the stool because I want that to be very comfortable for whoever's going to sit there. It has to be nice padding. So you can see there, we'll put that on, check again with the cardboard that it's okay, and that looks nice and soft. Wouldn't you like to sit there? And again, we're going to fold it over and stick that down. Now we're going to use the same procedure for the other parts, but this time we'll just be putting it onto some thick paper, not thick cardboard, because as you can see here, that's just going to go on the inside and we don't want to add too much thickness. We'll put those 3 pieces in, and you can see there's a little bit of a gap here at the front, but don't worry about that because we're actually going to be covering that later. But I think that's looking quite nice so far, and I like the size of it. Here's a little tip to make the round armrests. I just used some mini hot glue, and it's the perfect size, and I really like it because it's very sturdy and also it's really cheap. So first of all, we'll cover that in some padding to make it nice and comfortable. There we go. That looks good there. We'll just check the size on that before we cover it, and that looks good to me. I think that's going to work there. Yeah. Okay. So let's cover it with some fabric. So just get that as snug as you can so that it fits nicely and looks nicely. And then what we'll do is we'll just glue down the ends there, make those nice and tight. And of course you'll need to make 2 of these, so we'll go ahead and make 2 of those. Perfect. Now we'll go ahead and put on a thin piece on the front there with no padding, and again just a little bit thicker paper or cardstock. And then we're going to put on the arms, and they are looking quite nice, I think. What do you think? I like the look of those. Now we're going to just cut a thin strip and fold that over so that it's nice and tidy, and glue that down. And then we'll take that and we'll cover that space at the top that I mentioned earlier on, and that just makes it looks nice and finished there. That looks nice. That I like that on the top. We'll do the same with the sides as well because they can be a little bit rough, and we put that on both sides. And also on the arm at the front, just again a little piece of paper and some glue, and there we are, we just put that on there. The final step is the feet, and I have these, I just thought they were quite cute. I like the colour of them. I think they go really well with the light blue fabric. So we'll just put those on there, and yeah, what do you think? It's looking quite nice. So the final thing to do now is to make a cushion for it, and you glue down on the right edges and then you turn it inside out, like to use a pencil like this here, so I can get it nice and sharp on the corners. Just take it onto your chair and measure about where you would like it, how big the cushion you want it to be. That looks good to me. So we'll take some batting and we'll put that in there to make it a nice comfy cushion. And we'll just push that in there, and then I just basically glue it down. I know other people sew, but I just like to glue it. And here you have the finished article. I think it's come out pretty well, and I've just added a few books there that I made earlier. So of course you can do anything you like with that, but I think it's looking quite nice. Let me know in the comments what you think of it. And here you can see it again in this little mini library that I've actually made from scratch. I hope you've liked this, and if you have, before you watch the bloopers, and here come the bloopers, I hope you enjoy them. So all the talk I had of putting it in the wrong way, and look what I've just done, I put it down the wrong way. Oh gosh, you know what, I forgot I put this pillow all the way down at the bottom, and of course it shouldn't go there, it should go on the top. Oh, what an idiot. So, in my opinion, this is where I give a little overview of what I have to say. Value for money has to be a 10 because this is basically, it doesn't cost anything. Simplicity of build, I would give it an 8. It's not really difficult to make. I mean, it's not something a 4-year-old could do, but I think a 14-year-old could do it quite easily. And the clarity of the instructions, well, I'm far too modest to say. And the last grade I give on all of my miniatures is the quality of the parts. This doesn't really have any relevance here. It's basically whatever you make it of. But anyway, hope you've enjoyed it and see you next time. Bye.